What's happening, everybody? It's your brother Al.
And Roz, and welcome to another episode of Together We're One Talk Show, where we talk everything.
Marriage and relationships.
Yes.
We get down to the nitty gritty.
Right down to it.
Come on here.
We go all down the road, all down the street, everything.
Right.
So today, again, as every week, we say it every single week, we got another great topic for you. We hope that you guys are sitting in front of the TV and that you have a pen, some paper, because we always encourage you guys to take notes so that you can go back with your spouse and y'all can talk about it. So today we're going to be talking about how to deal with an insecure spouse.
Ooh, my goodness. We need some help, don't we?
We need a little help.
We need some help on that. So invite your friends, your family, in-laws, everybody. Tell them to join in. It's Together We're One Talk Show, y'all. Okay, welcome back, everybody. So again, today we're going to be talking about how to deal with an insecure spouse. Now, let's kind of just, throw this out there so everybody can have a little bit of an understanding. Okay. There are some cases that are extreme when it comes to insecurities.
Yes.
And so you want to make sure on those extreme cases that you seek out professional help.
Yes.
And notice that and know this, that it's okay to get help.
Okay. Yeah.
It doesn't say that you're a weak person because you're getting help.
Right.
That's not the case. So don't let your mind play tricks on you. Do not buy into the negative connotation of getting help.
Yes.
All right.
That's good.
But also note that because some insecurities are based in mental illness.
Yeah.
So that's why you want to, get some help.
Yeah.
If your spouse or you are dealing with that.
Just dig a little deeper and make sure that, that you're okay. We want you to be okay.
Most definitely. Most definitely. So we believe most definitely in the supernatural power of God.
Absolutely.
We believe in walking with the Lord.
Absolutely.
And we also believe that He has given people wisdom to help us get through different phases and different areas in our life. Take advantage of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's start off by just defining what insecurity is.
Okay.
To be insecure, there are actually two different definitions that they give. The first one is not firmly fixed, to give way or to break. The second one is not confident or assured. You're uncertain and anxious.
Yes. And so I think that's the second one.
Yeah.
Is mainly you're not confident. You kind of, I like the unsure. But then what does the word say about anxiety or being anxious?
Be anxious for nothing.
Be anxious for nothing. What's the remedy? But pray about everything.
Yeah. But I do want to add that first definition does tie really well into insecurity, because at some point people reach their breaking point. They reach that point where they just feel like they can't take anymore, and they kind of lose ground and break. So, I think they both can kind of tie into it. But, so I know for me, I have dealt with insecurity, and I think if we're all really honest, we'll say that at some point in our lives, we've all been in a place where we felt insecure or just unsure.
Right.
Yeah, you weren't confident. And so when you get into a marriage, those insecurities can definitely have a negative effect on your marriage.
And it seems like, and as we've looked at ourselves and we've talked to other couples, it seems like marriage is kind of like a breeding pot for insecurities to arise.
Yeah.
And if you're not equipped with the tools to handle it, insecurities can tear apart and dissolve a marriage.
Yeah, because if we're really honest, and we kind of gave our testimony a while ago, again, when we do our Facebook Live videos, we talked about how we dealt with that in our marriage, and how we had gotten to that place almost where we were at our breaking point because of my own insecurities in our marriage. And so we want to just make sure that we get a hold to those things so that they don't infect the marriage and cause, more damage. So where do insecurities come from? So they can come from our childhood, how we were raised.
Yes.
They can come from past relationships that we've been in. They can come from failures that we've had in life.
Right.
Rejection, negative beliefs in yourself, excessive criticism from loved ones, and trying to be perfect. Perfectionism can also cause us to become very insecure people.
And so then when we become insecure, it's because we don't know how to deal with it.
Right.
We kind of project what we're feeling onto our spouses.
Right.
Or we kind of, it's almost kind of like we're trying to control what we're feeling within ourselves by externally dealing with it through somebody else. And that always that's going to always it backfires. It's counterproductive. So what we want to talk about today is just kind of giving us some tips again to deal with insecurities.
And I really want to throw this in there before we even get to the tips. I want us to understand that when we can understand who we are in Christ, I think when we understand that and we accept that we are who God says we are, then it helps to alleviate those
failures.
You're not your you're not defined by that last person that hurt you. You're not defined by what your mama and your daddy said to you when you were growing up. You know what I mean? You have to allow God to be the one that defines who you are. And once you accept the definition that God has given you, then it doesn't matter what you go through at that point. You will never answer to anything that is outside of what God has already called you. So we want to just make sure that we accept what God has said for us about who we are.
That's good. What does the word say? My people perish because of lack of knowledge. When you don't know who you are in Him, then you're more susceptible to insecurities. So that's good, baby. That's good. So let's get into these tips.
Okay.
So number one, what do we have?
So if you're in a marriage and you're married to an insecure person, one of the ways that you can tell if a person is insecure is, they may deal with jealousy all the time. They could be controlling. They could be really clingy, and again, not necessarily always that this is what it is, but these are just some of the characteristics that an insecure person. They're constantly checking behind somebody. This is a good one that I had to learn, and you taught this one to me. Can't accept or receive a compliment. You're always trying to downplay it. Somebody says, "Oh, you look beautiful," and you say, "Oh, you think so?" And it's not. I think sometimes people think that you're fishing for something, like because you want them to say it again, but it really is that you really don't feel like that, and you're
not confident in how you feel, how you look.
Exactly. And that's the other thing. You lack confidence. So there are a lot of things that you can look for. So if you notice, any of those things in your spouse, you might be dealing with the insecure spouse, and the way that you deal with them now is through understanding. So now you need to, being the one that's dealing with the insecure spouse, needs to educate yourself on how to help your spouse, how you can support them through this time. And so that's what we're going to be talking about. But the first thing I think that you need to ask yourself when you are dealing with the insecure spouse is, am I part of the problem?
Self-evaluation. Self-evaluation is always necessary. So that you can see what part you're playing, and then you can correct that. So you want to make sure you look at yourself and stop pointing the finger on all the fingers at your spouse. You want to look, but here's the one thing about self-evaluation that we want to share with you guys is, do not evaluate yourself by looking at somebody else. Evaluate yourself looking into the Word of God. What are you doing what are you not doing that you're supposed to be doing according to the Word of God?
So always make sure that you do that self-evaluation first and ask yourself, is what we have, do we have this because I've played a part in it? And if so, what do I need to do in order to help?
That's good. And that's a good one, baby, because a lot of times when people are dealing with infidelity or adultery, you got to understand something. That is one of the things that adultery causes. It causes insecurity. So if you're the one that committed the adultery, then you need to make sure you take the necessary steps to secure your spouse. What is truth? We are marriage coaches. We help couples put together a strategy. And it is a must for you to have a strategy to win in marriage, just like a coach on the sideline.
Two was given to us at a very painful time in our relationship. We were struggling really bad, and we were trying to just figure out how to stay together. And God showed us that yet you are two people, you are to operate as one. Once we got that revelation, it was amazing. So what we want to do is be able to help other couples experience that same happiness in their marriage.
Okay, so we've asked ourselves, am I a part of this problem? Am I a part of making my spouse insecure? And then we've talked about a little bit of, taking a approach to evaluate yourself.
Yeah, take the responsibility.
And to acknowledge and take responsibility if you are a part of what has been created.
Yeah, but we want to make sure that we understand that sometimes insecurities are just brought into the relationship, and it has nothing to do with our now spouse, but it just, something that we've dealt with. Yeah. Right. So now we just got to move on to this next part, which after we've done the self-evaluation or we realize we have this spouse, to ask, what can I do to help?
No, yeah. What? See, now here's the thing. When you marry somebody, you sign up to help them.
All of that.
And you don't get to pick. You don't get to pick what issues come up that you're going to help them.
Right.
You see that, and I think that's where people we get discouraged, or we kind of fall off, because we want to. We become insecure in helping our spouses with their insecurities.
Oh, that's good. Say that again.
We become insecure by helping our spouses with their insecurities.
Oh, you got to tweet that. That's good.
That's because we're not confident on how to help them.
Yeah.
But if we dive into the Word of God, we look at, there's a lot of good information on the internet that you can, look up. And just kind of look up and see, okay, what can I do?
Yeah.
What can I do to help my spouse?
Yeah. And understand again that when you get married, that is what you sign up for. A lot of people say, well, I signed up for that, but I didn't sign up for that. I said I do to that, but I'm not saying I do to that.
You signed up with every baggage that they bring into the marriage.
Yes.
You are part of the help in carrying it.
Yes, and unpacking it and putting it away. And everything.
Exactly.
So, in this instance, when you're dealing with the insecure spouse, so let me just tell a little bit about us.
Okay.
So when I was really dealing with my insecurities, one of the things that really helped me to build, and let me say this, as a husband, it's an amazing task to have the heart of your wife in your hand.
Yeah.
And as a husband, having the heart of your wife in your hand, you have the ability to build her up or tear her down.
Yes.
So if she comes into the marriage already broken, you now have the awesome opportunity of speaking into this person's life and pulling out of them everything that God has put into them. So for me, that was me. I came into the marriage with a bunch of baggage that I not even told anybody about, which ended up causing a bunch of relationship issues and problems in our marriage. And I dealt with insecurities quite a bit. And even though it was a learning process for us both, at some point you got the revelation that, it was your job to help me. And you started on that journey. And so we're going to talk about some of the things that you did to help me not be insecure anymore. And I think for a woman, that's really what she craves, is to
security.
Be able to say that I'm secure in my marriage.
That's it. That's why a lot of women do not thrive in life.
Yeah.
Because, insecurities and not knowing how to deal with. But the truth be told, that's a lot of reasons why men don't thrive either.
Yeah.
Because we're always told, if you're at that breaking point, that's like a sign of weakness.
Right.
But that's not the case.
No.
You just may need some help working through some things.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
But we can help our spouses.
We can help our spouses.
We can help our spouses.
And one of the first ways that you helped me was you over communicated with me.
Yeah.
So we talk about communication all the time, right? We talk about how important communication is in a marriage, and it is very important.
Yeah.
But in this case, when you're dealing with somebody that's insecure and they're dealing with insecurities and they're not confident, you have to over communicate to them.
And I think when I think back to that point, it's not that I was talking a lot.
Right.
But I did more listening.
Right.
And I think we missed that in the process of communicating. We think communicating is I got to relay my message. I got to relay my message. I got to get my point across. No, but a lot of communication is just listening.
Yeah.
And I believe one of the things that we were able to do in that time was listen.
That's really good. And because I needed that.
Yeah.
I needed to be able to get off of me what the things that were causing me to be insecure.
Yes.
And I knew that you were listening because once I verbalized what my issues were, I actually saw you go to work. And so your actions started to change. Your actions started to line up in a way that showed me that you had listened to my concerns or my requests, and you started to, put those things into practice.
Right.
So it was really good to be able to know that I could get that, that time to talk with you and that over communication. But the other thing that you did was what? You always, you called me. You made sure that I always knew where you were.
Yeah. I check in and see that I didn't allow pride. See, a lot of men let pride. I'm a grown man. I didn't know. You want to make sure. You want to make sure because we're working on security.
Right.
We're working on security, so you want to build that rapport.
Yes.
With your spouse.
Yeah.
You do it with your boss.
Exactly.
So why not do it with your spouse?
Exactly. That's good.
You do it with everybody, so why not do it with your wife?
Yeah.
So I would call and I would check in and I would let you know where I am. I'll let you know, I'll be home. Did you need anything?
Right.
And I would over communicate.
Yes.
I would go above and beyond what was necessary. But then I had to think about it. Again, going back to what we first said, because a lot of your insecurities came through me.
Yeah.
So I had to take the steps.
Yeah.
To secure. See, the one that causes the insecurity now becomes the one that has the responsibility to secure.
Oh, that's so good.
And we really, so I had to step back. But before I could even do that with you, I had to communicate in prayer.
Oh.
You see that's
a step we miss a lot.
That's crucial because God knows both of us.
Yes.
He knows our heart.
Yes.
So what I did was I went into prayer.
Yes.
And I said, Lord, what? Because it was getting to we were getting to our marriage breaking point.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, Lord, what do I need to do?
Yeah.
So he would show me things in prayer because the word says he reveals his secrets to the righteous.
Yes.
He'll give you information if you seek after
it.
So I started to seek him.
Yeah.
And he showed me things that I could do to help you.
Yeah.
And then I would implement those things. So a lot of the prayer time was listening to God give instructions.
Oh, that's good. And he tells us too, us husbands, tell you husbands to dwell with your wives according to knowledge.
Yes.
And that's what he gives you. He says, if you lack wisdom, ask me.
Ask.
And he'll give it to you.
Yes.
So the knowledge that you needed to be able to step in and help build me up, God gave that to you during prayer, during your over communication.
There
in
we
prayer.
go.
Yeah.
There we go. Seeking him diligently.
Yes.
He is a rewarder to them that diligently seek him.
Yes.
So you have to be willing to communicate with God. You have to be willing to communicate with your spouse. And that requires that we develop a listening ear.
Yeah.
We must know the voice of God and the voice of our spouse.
I think under the tutelage of Brother Al and Sister Roz, I've become a better man, a better husband, and even a better father.
T.W.O is very encouraging. They always made us feel like we were at home. They never made us feel judged or condemned. They always made us feel very comfortable, and even in the times where the topics were very serious, they helped us work through those things.
So we're talking about, again, just helping people, our spouses, when they are dealing with insecurities.
Yes.
Another way that we can help them is to be truthful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of times insecurities come in because at some point somebody said some untruths.
Right. They're straight up dishonest.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And so we want to make sure that as we are on this journey of trying to secure our spouse, that we are making sure that the words that are coming out of our mouths are what we say that they are.
Yes.
Just say what you mean and mean what you say.
Right.
I think that's what the old saying is, because when you start to become dishonest, that again adds to the insecurity that your spouse may already be feeling.
Most definitely. So you want to make sure you're telling the truth and take every opportunity for your words and your actions to line up.
Yeah.
That's where integrity is.
Yes.
You know, you want to make sure what you say you're doing. And if you're not going to be able to do what you said, communicate it.
Yes.
Don't just sweep it under and
yeah.
act like, you didn't say it.
Right, right.
But if you say something, and here's the biggest thing, if you stand before God and you stand before people and you vow to love your spouse,
yes.
and you vow to be there for them, see through it.
Yeah.
Follow through with that.
Yes.
Don't just, do it then act like that didn't mean anything.
Yeah,
So now your spouse is going to have major insecurities.
Yeah, and make sure also that when the truth is presented to you, or you're presented or faced with an opportunity to tell the truth,
right.
that you try to cover it up because of pride or fear, whatever the reason is. When you're presented with an opportunity to tell the truth, tell the truth.
Right.
Because again, we're talking about building people up. And
right.
the way that we do that is to be truthful with our spouses in every situation, no matter what it is, right? No matter how hard it is, you
right.
still have to stand on the truth.
Exactly.
So that is the next one. So we've over communicated, and now we're being truthful, and that goes both husband and wife.
Yes.
And then now this third one is, I love this one because this one right here, I'm telling you, it does the trick.
What's that, man?
Be consistent.
Oh, yes. Be consistent. Titus chapter 2, verse 7. It talks about setting a pattern of good works.
Yes.
You want to set up a pattern. You want to be consistent in loving your spouse. You want to be consistent in being in the moment, being present with your spouse. You want to be consistent and set up a good pattern. So what happens a lot of times is we'll do something that may disappoint our spouse. Well, okay. Now set up a pattern.
Yes.
And again, get this, and that takes time.
Yeah, it does. It does.
It takes time.
It happens over time.
It happens over time.
Yeah.
So you have to be patient when it comes to being consistent.
Yeah, and if you have set some really horrible patterns, if you haven't been consistent in the past, then what you have to understand is this is an opportunity now to do something different.
Yes.
Don't we love opportunity?
Opportunity, yes.
This is an opportunity now to do something different by being consistent, by setting new patterns, by, because what happens a lot of times is when you're insecure, what happens is you have something called triggers. And so a lot of times when certain things happen or your mind is taken back to a place, it triggers those old emotions and causes you to feel what you felt at that time.
Right.
And so what we want to do now is we want to make sure, as the one that's trying to build up the insecurities, we want to make sure that our actions are not one of their triggers.
Right.
We want to make sure that our actions now is not going to take them back to a bad place, but that we're going to be able to create something new. So they're going to now be able to see, okay, well, I remember I felt this before and this is what they did, but they didn't do that this time. And what we have to do is be so careful not to judge them based off of their past, but now judge them based off of what they're currently doing.
Right. And so, and then too, even if they're coming into the marriage with inconsistencies, perpetrated by other people, not you, and you have to look at that as well.
That's right.
That your patterns are even more important now, and then you got to go back, because if you're the insecure person, you need to go back to the last step.
Yeah.
Be truthful about it.
Yeah.
And just let them know, I ain't feeling too confident.
Yeah.
Right
and
here.
This is why.
And this is why.
Yeah.
And then there I have some triggers.
Yes.
Because one of the things I remember when we were going through our things, there were some triggers that I was pulling.
Yeah.
And I didn't know.
Yeah.
But I didn't know until you communicate.
Over communicate. They all tie in.
They all tie in together.
I'm telling you, they all tie in.
So when you were truthful,
Yeah.
you communicated,
Yeah.
and then I had an opportunity to now set a new pattern.
Yes. And so that's what it's all about. It's about putting your pride aside and saying, I value my marriage enough that I'm going to do whatever it takes, as long as it takes, as many times as it takes, because I know that was one of our things things too. I remember for me, I would ask you the same question over and over and over every day, just different ways.
Right.
And you never said to me, you know what, we're dealing with this again. Just get over that. I'm sick of dealing with. We dealt with that yesterday. You know,
right.
Every single time that I came to you with questions or whatever, you always answered the question.
And I always answered the question the same way.
And see, that's what I was looking for. Because, you know, I'm looking like, now this the same question. I'm just asking them, since he going to give me the same answer.
Come on, fellas, you got to recognize game, man. You got, it was, you were asking me the questions.
Yeah.
But you was trying to see, you were looking for the consistency of my answers.
Absolutely.
Because if an answer would have changed, there would have been reason to be insecure now.
Yeah, and take you all the way back. Yeah. And that's the crazy part. It's almost like whenever you find yourself in those situations, you don't just go back a few steps. It takes you all the way back. Like on Monopoly, it says it's go back to the start place. That's what it does to you. So you want to make sure that you're being consistent, that you're setting new patterns.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so that's number 3. Number 4, and this is a good one as well, be patient.
Come on. Be patient. Now, in order for us to be patient, because it's human nature to be impatient.
Yeah.
So in order for us to be patient, because patience is a product of walking in the Spirit.
Yes.
You know, so when we walk in the Spirit, when we could take God at His word and we conduct our lives by His leading and His guiding, it produces patience in us.
Yes.
So you want to make sure that you're walking in the Spirit so that we can have patience. And patience actually means to stay the same.
Yes.
You want to stay. It goes back to consistency.
Yes. Oh, that's good.
It means to stay the same. So you want to be patient. You want not just endure, but you want to endure staying the same.
Yeah. So today's topic, we could really make this into a 2-parter because it's so much that we could talk about when we're talking about an insecure spouse and how to deal with them. But I hope that the tips and the tools that we've given today will help somebody in their marriage. And let me just throw this out there. Brothers, if you're dealing with an insecure spouse and you make her feel secure, she will follow you anywhere.
Yeah.
If you make her feel, she has your back. She just needs to know that, be secure in that you're leading her somewhere.
And it will actually increase the physical love life.
Yes.
Because there is security.
Yes.
And there's now an opportunity to get in the mood.
Yeah.
For physical intimacy.
Yeah.
Because
he had to throw that in there, y'all. Yes, he had
I'm trying to help the people out.
I'm trying
to help the people out.
Or is he trying to help himself? Why don't you just go ahead and pray out?
I'm already helped.
Okay, well, let's pray. Let's pray.
Father, we thank you. Thank you for this opportunity, Lord, to share some principles that you have given us, that you have shown us. Father, we thank you, oh God. We thank you for those that are listening, for those that are hearing, oh God. Let us not be hearers only, but doers of your word. Father, I thank you for every strong marriage, Lord. I thank you for helping us to create healthy, happy lives. In Jesus' name we pray.